Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Dr. Quack podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. If you haven't yet, make sure you do. It's definitely, I got a lot of great things going on here. I've got a lot of interviews going down, including one today. Now, you guys have always heard the, champion stories, the Rudy stories, where the guy actually succeeds in the end. Well, not necessarily. This wouldn't be the case, but anyways, here is my guest. This is the Karaokee Kid. Thank you for coming on, Karaokee.
I appreciate the opportunity, Dr. Quack.
Well, I am glad to have that. So let's get down to the questions here. So what made you get into the business?
I first got interested in pro wrestling back in 1985. I was a little kid. My parents wound up taking me to the local indie shows that they used to have at the National Guard Armory. I got to see Jerry the King Lawler actually live. So that's what actually kind of turned me on to the WWE. I started watching it as a kid. When I got older, they started doing the indie shows again. Actually, Sir Mo from Men on a Mission had a wrestling promotion. He was doing a show in Kentucky.
Good old Sir Mo.
Yeah, Sir Mo from Men on a Mission. And I've always been interested in trying to get into professional wrestling, but back then you had kayfabe in place, so nobody really talked about how to get into the business from the outside. You kind of had to know somebody to get in.
Right.
And, well, he started putting out flyers for his professional wrestling school. And so I was like, okay. So now I'm kind of seeing how I'm getting a little bit more into how to get into the business per se. I never got the opportunity actually to ever get the chance to go. And then I went into the military, got out.
Yeah, what branch were you in?
I was in the Air Force back then, and then I wound up doing another 7 years in the Army National Guard.
Awesome. What was your occupation?
I was in the Air Force. I was a military police officer in security forces. When I went to the Army, I was a firefighter. And then in 2007, I became a medic.
Wow. Yep, see, that's what I did there for 6 years myself, so that's awesome.
Right.
So, did you happen to get deployed anywhere?
Actually, got deployed to Iraq in 09, or 08, 09.
Wow. What was that like?
It was, definitely not what the news portrayed it to be when we were gearing up to get ready to go over. According to the news, it was always, every day, gunfight, X number of soldiers got killed. I was, honestly, it had me to the point where I sat there and thought that it was going to be a gunfight. As soon as you get off the plane, you're in a gunfight. And you're basically gunfighting until you get back on the plane to come back over.
Wow.
Yeah, and that wasn't even the case.
That is, yeah, I mean, it's a different world over there in Iraq. I mean, it really is. I mean,
absolutely, I totally agree.
Like, some people would ask me, they would say, so what was it like? And I would be like, it's a lot like America. It's 95% of the people are actually good people. It's that 5% that screws it up for everybody.
Absolutely, and they're not even actual Iraqis. What it is you got everybody from Iran and Syria coming in, basically starting a whole bunch of stuff. Then they sit there and evacuate out, and basically we're having to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a totally different world. But here, let me ask you. So, because you were talking about your heroes. Who were your heroes growing up in the world of professional wrestling?
In professional wrestling, it would be Bret Hart was actually one of the big guys that inspired me. I just liked his technical prowess in the ring, and he always seemed to, the the accomplishments that he did. You know, the first Triple Crown champion, or two-time Triple Crown champion in the WWF back then.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, Bret Hart was definitely one of the best. I mean, the best there is, the best there was, the best there will be, all that. You know, definitely.
Absolutely.
So, you know, who trained you?
I was trained by a no-name guy. Goes by the name Dr. Quack. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi, folks. How you doing?
Dr. Quack seriously did train me. I'm actually his first trainee to ever actually become an actual in-ring worker.
Yes. You were. Yeah, I mean, where did we meet? I forget where we met.
We met at, I want to say, it was the summer of 2002? Or was it 2000? It was either the summer of 2002 or 2003. I was working as a karaoke DJ.
Yep.
At the old Golden Nugget there in Clarksville, Tennessee.
Yeah, it was 2002. I remember because it was right in between deployments.
Right, that's right. Because it was 2002. We sat there. You got back. We started doing training. And then in 2003, we did our first show, or I did my first show, and then in 2004 was the CCW, when we did CCW.
Yeah, I mean, you're a little off on your time frame, I think, because, 03, I was overseas, and, I met you in between there before going, but,
right.
04, we were actually there together, that's where we also met Nurse Phoenix.
Right.
And she was a kind of an influence in getting you in the ring as well.
Actually, that was she's the one that actually she's a mutual friend of ours, and she sat there and told me she was basically working with you as your valet.
Yeah.
And I told her I was interested into it, and she said that she would talk to you about it, or at least introduce us to be able to get me in to sit there and do the training and go through ring.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and then there we ended up. I brought you down. You met Tom Davison. What was it like to meet Tom Davison? He was the promoter of the AWA IWF Tennessee.
Right. Tom was a hell of a guy. When I first met him, I didn't know exactly quite what I was going to expect him, but he was a hell of a guy, very influential. Everybody that I've seen on podcasts before, whenever they talk about Tom, everything that they've said is pretty much true in aspects of all my encounters with him. He was always there to sit there. If you were trying to come up with an idea, we'd sit down and talk about ideas in different story angles that we were going to try to work in the shows. And
yeah, and he had an idea for a gimmick for you. What was that? How did that work out?
Wait, which gimmick idea are we going to talk about?
Well, I think the first one that you were talking about, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, a bodyguard gimmick.
Oh yeah, so Tom was working on trying to do the heel turn for himself, and what we were planning on doing was I was basically going to get brought in and just randomly start attacking people throughout all the different IWF shows, and I would leave a card, like a regular plain deck card. I would leave a card with each person that I would attack, and it was no set random attack, but ultimately it would sit there and lead to, I would leave the ace of spades, which in the military is the head bad guy that you're after. I would leave it with Tom, so they kind of had the clue straight ahead that it was him, and then we'd sit there and do the reveal that he was the bad guy that orchestrated the whole ordeal. Tom didn't feel comfortable with doing that idea, so that idea kind of got scrapped.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had a plan for you. It just didn't seem to know at that point what it was going to be. But yeah, your first intro into the wrestling business, I believe you interfered in a match.
So, yeah. So the Putnam County Fair Show, where Dr. Quack won the Mid-South title.
That's right.
In the knockdown, drag-out stretcher match between him and Sean Dempsey. I was supposed to be, since we scrapped the whole enforcer idea, what we wound up doing was I was basically going to be ringside security. So if any of the guys sat there and decided to go out into the crowd, and basically I keep everybody back while they're working the whole 9 yards. That match, at the spur of a moment, they sat there and said, "Oh, well, you're going to be one of the stretcher carriers," and that's all I was told. I was never told that I was going to be involved in the match. Anybody was going to be coming after me, the whole 9 yards. So as we're sitting there watching the match go on, Sean Dempsey comes out of the ring, starts attacking you, starts beating the hell out of you. Next thing I know, as we're trying to sit there and load you on to the stretcher, next thing I know, he's sitting there hitting me, attacking me, and I'm basically not selling a damn thing the entire time. Or I didn't start selling until he got a little stiff on it, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this match is on YouTube, and a lot of my audience, I believe, has seen it. You know, I remember, like, just the shot, and then you looking at him, and then the second shot to the head where you finally fell down. It was comical.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, because it's one of those I wasn't expecting to sit there and be involved in. The only thing I got told was, "Hey, you're going to be carrying the stretcher." That's all he said.
Lesson of the day, kids: always be ready, no matter what.
Absolutely, but it was a learning opportunity. It was fun that night.
It was, and you also got to meet, I believe, Lord Humongous. Do you want to walk us through that story?
Lord Humongous. So I'm trying to remember all the details on it. So Lord Humongous was supposed to be taking on Gravestone that night in the co-main event, if I'm not mistaken.
The man who trained Southern Chaos.
Yes.
I learned that last week. That was pretty interesting fact. But continue.
Right. So Gravestone, and I think he's like 6'9" or 6'10". I think. So he was the AWA IWF champion at the time, and him and Lord Humongous were supposed to be the co-main event, like I said, and so we're sitting in the locker room area, and we just discussed everything I was going to do. Next thing I know, Lord Humongous comes in and sit there, shake his hand, the whole 9 yards.
For those that don't know, how big is Lord Humongous, would you say?
Lord Humongous, he had to be, I want to say right around 6 foot at the time. I was like 5'11", but he's like 6 foot.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting down.
He was a big boy. Like, he was in his 300-pound range, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And yeah, no, his gimmick was that of a scary ordeal because he wore like the Jason mask and the everything.
Yeah.
And so he's sitting down and we're introducing and we're talking, bullshitting, and I'm explaining to him it's my first show, and he sits there and goes, "Wait, what's your name?" And I told him who I was at the time. He's like, "Yeah, me and you are going to be in the main event. Apparently, Gravestone called out." Gravestone called out, and I don't know. Well, you were sitting right there.
I was, and your face you turned about 8 shades of pale.
Yeah, I could literally feel the blood leaving my head as I like the cartoon where it literally felt like the blood was leaving my head as he's sitting there. Yeah, we're gonna be in a match together. never done a match before, ever. And he's sitting there telling me I'm going to be in the main event with him. He's like, oh, don't worry. I just got off the South African tour, and the last guy I fought, he's coming off life support, looks down at his watch. He's like, right about now. And you want to talk about panic. Panic hit, and then everybody's dying laughing. And I'm sitting there freaking out, going to you, like, what do I do? What do I do? He's like, well, I trained you. You know, do what you got to do.
That's right.
Sit there and listen.
I said, just listen to him in the ring. You're going to be all right, kid.
Yeah. And then everybody's dying. Everybody's dying laughing. He's like, no, I'm just messing with you. And whew.
The sigh of relief was on your face that night. I'll never forget that.
Oh, yeah. You want to talk about a scary event.
Now, this is during your security days, but you were also there, I believe, with the first time that I think you and I both got to meet the goddess Athena.
Yes. I was there for that whole ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, because we also had her, and there was Nurse Phoenix and Chris Cash there, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, how did that all go down?
Well, what do you mean?
I thought there was, some... I'm trying to remember, because I remember there was some interaction in the back.
Oh, you're talking about when Athena was introducing herself to everybody.
Yeah.
And so she walks up to Nurse Phoenix, and she's asking her, are you face or are you heel? And Nurse Phoenix turns around and goes, no, I'm a nurse.
I mean, the baffled look on her face was classic.
Right. Right, absolutely. It's just like, oh my God.
I mean, it was Nurse Phoenix like first or second show. She didn't really have a whole lot of grasp on the wrestling business. Just, I mean, she could take one hell of a bump though. I will never forget that.
Right. Yeah, no, she could bump like nobody's business.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a female in this business that could do it as a manager that, had no problems taking whatever you wanted to throw. That was awesome.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, but that whole ordeal is just like, oh my God, did you seriously just say that?
Yeah, it was classic. So later on down the aisle, you really got your first your first shot there. They were talking to you about a gimmick that was really special.
I know where you're going with this.
I'm going to let you fill in the audience here.
Oh, do we really have to unbox this cat?
Yeah, because there's a couple things that need to be unboxed with it. Go right ahead.
So we were training at the House of Pain when Tom gets the idea to incorporate the gimmick of special ed. Oh, this was a disaster. So basically, what Tom was wanting to do, the impression that I got was he wanted to basically have the AWA, IWF version of Eugene.
Yes.
Yes. So,
I mean, Nick Dinsmore, he was definitely huge during that time,
Right.
So, I mean, it was a great thing to try to almost imitate and throw your little spin on it. But, yeah, so what happened? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. So, I think it was me, you, Chaos, and Cash were all sitting down on how to, or we were basically trying to hammer out exactly how to pull this off. And so we came up with some ideas, and I went with, you remember the show Crank Anchors?
Yes.
Yeah, so they had special ed on Crank Anchors. Where, oh my God, I still can't believe I'm discussing this.
Oh, I can't either, but keep going.
Right. So that was the basis of the idea for me, was basically special ed from Crank Anchors.
He had that quote where it was like, I peed in your pool.
Yeah. Yay!
Yay!
Yeah. Absolutely. Little did I know that the guy who actually played Eugene was an actual cytologist.
Yes.
Yeah.
True fact.
He kind of had that one up on me with, so we were sitting there trying to hammer out the ideas of exactly what to do with the gimmick, and we were sitting there working it, and on the fly we wound up having to go to Walmart, trying to, wasn't it Chaos's glasses busted or something? We were trying to find a screwdriver or something.
Yes, and I believe and someone needed tape, I think, because I remember it was the three of us and Kit went there, right?
Yeah, somebody was needing tape, and then Chaos, I think, needed a screwdriver for his glasses, and that's where the infamous "I got your receipt" came into play.
Yeah, what happened with that, DC?
So at the end of the match between you and Chaos, Special Ed jumps up on the ring apron with the actual receipt from Walmart, so that, "Hey, Dr. Quack, I got your receipt."
I remember having to act like I was so mad, trying not to laugh. Like the general thing I had to do with that was picture Gene Hackman in Hoosiers. That's what generally worked.
Right.
That was definitely wild. I remember that. Yeah, and what's funny? That was actually the match where Southern Chaos was the first recipient of the rectal claw.
Yes, the rectal. Oh my God, that horrible move.
Yeah.
Where we came up with that.
Yeah. So I mean, we had that. That was a wild gimmick. I mean, and when you got back, what did Tom say to you after everything?
We actually stopped that gimmick in the middle of the thing. Wound up pissing everybody off. That was the day that the kid learned about lightning heat, which is a very, very bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, lightning heat. Yeah, definitely drew the people. Yeah. Oh my goodness! I mean,
I have never seen a good guy get death threats compared to during that time.
It just was like, wow,
Yeah.
You definitely drew it there. Yeah, so you ended up moving on, and you became the Karaoke Kid. How did that come about?
So after the debacle of the Special Ed gimmick, we basically went back to the drawing board on trying to develop a gimmick that was actually going to get over. And I believe it was me and you were sitting one night while I was working as a karaoke DJ.
Yeah, you used to work down at the world famous Gold Nugget and Speakeasy.
Gold Nugget. Yeah, Speakeasy, which neither one of those either exist anymore.
I know, I kind of miss them both.
Right. And we were sitting there like throwing ideas out left and right, trying to come up with something. And every time we throw something out, no, that doesn't work. So there, what about this? No, that doesn't work. And then you sat there and said, we got to find something that you're good at. And you're like, you're really good at karaoke, and it was like lightning in a bottle. It just boom, and then we started actually developing the Karaoke Kid gimmick.
Yeah,
where it was basically kind of like a road dog, everyday guy sitting there fighting for the people.
I mean, they say imitation is the best flattery. I mean, you
right.
were called the knockoff Road Dog, and for some reason I was called the knockoff Isaac Yankum DDS, but that's a whole nother story.
Right. Yeah, but it wasn't. I wouldn't necessarily say it was an exact knockoff. Of the Road Dog, but I could sit there and see where people would get the idea.
Sure. I mean, it was definitely influenced for sure. I mean, you would come out and sing your theme song.
Right, absolutely.
What kind of songs would you sing?
I would find random. I would find random karaoke tracks. What I actually did was wound up taking. So at the time, we had all of our karaoke songs on computer, and I would sit there and bring my laptop from work with the hard drive to the songs, and I would just randomly find a song that if I was in. We would sit there and work on it. If I decided to be a bad guy, what were the bad guy songs that I would do? And if I was a good guy, I would sit there and go with the upbeat, everybody sing along type songs, and it really popped over with everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I remembered you singing "Roses" from Outkast during a show, and I remember Cletus the Karaoke King.
Right.
You would do some wild stuff. And, I forget, what song did you sing during your match over there in RCW?
Do what?
Remember RCW when we went to, I think it was Rage Championship Wrestling?
That's because I didn't do a song in RCW.
That's right. You were told no.
Yes, I was told no.
Right. This was in Robbins, Tennessee, I believe.
Yes, this was the first match. This was the Karaoke Kid versus Dr. Quack, or as I commonly like to refer to as the Robbins, Tennessee Screwjob.
Yeah, and if you haven't never been to Robbins, Tennessee, don't worry. Most people haven't. There's a Taco Bell, BP / hair salon all connected. That's the big store there.
Yes, and Waylon Jennings is at the city limits, sitting there, just some good old boys. Yeah.
And that dog is there too. I swear to God, I've seen that dog with the long ears.
I swear to God, it is. I swear to God, it's there too.
Little small town in some school. I forget where exactly, but that's where you got one of your matches there.
Yeah, so that was my very first match.
Yes,
and it was versus you.
Yeah,
we were going with the story of new kid on the block versus the old crafty veteran. And so when explaining the gimmick to the booker at the time, I'm the karaoke kid, and this is what I do, da 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 da, this, that, and the other. And I'm trying to think who the booker was for the thing.
Who was the booker? That would be Rage.
Yeah, Rage was the booker.
Rage was the booker / promoter.
Yeah. So he sits there and says, "That's great." Or I was asking him if I could get a mic so that way I could sit there and set up the whole karaoke thing. And he's like, "Well, kid, let me explain. I'm putting on a wrestling show. I'm not putting on a rock concert. If I'm putting on a rock concert, I'll give you a call." So no mic. So I'm like flipping out in the back because I'm the karaoke kid. I'm not doing the karaoke kid thing.
No karaoke. You just get to walk out without singing.
Yeah, you get to walk out with it completely threw my whole entire gimmick off because everybody's gonna be like, "Who is this clown?"
Yeah. I mean,
so
I'll definitely say that match. It really seemed like for your first match, the fans were behind you.
Yes, yeah. It was. I would sit there and say the first time you ever come out, it is a bigger high than any drug could ever sit there and you could ever take. You're not gonna match that high. And like everybody was behind me. I think they had to come out to Godsmack, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And like the little kids loved me, the whole 9 yards. I was getting high fives. We wound up going to the ring, doing our match, and the kids were completely behind me 100%.
Yeah, they really were. I mean, I remember the finish of the match. You had this move. What did you call it? What was that called?
The chart buster.
That's right, the chart buster. And you hit me with this move, and I was on the side of the ropes, and the ref started counting. And what happened?
Yeah, you threw your foot up on the rope. That was the actual ending that we actually planned for. You threw your foot on the rope. Me being the new guy, I'm going to argue with the ref, and then you turn around and hit me with the malpractice.
Yep. And that actually the Spinal Tap had a few moves, but yeah,
Yeah.
that old Emerald Fusion, that one was classic. But yeah, I mean, It was just a great story. I mean, the fans loved it. I thought, for your first couple matches, it was really good. And then we had CCW.
Right, CCW, yes, Clarksville Championship Wrestling. Dr. Quack decides he is going to put on his own promotion.
That's right. I did try to. I mean, I ran a couple shows. I enjoyed it. I found that it was something that I really didn't want to do because I felt more as an offensive coordinator versus a head coach. That's definitely something my agent would tell you.
Right.
I'm great. If you give me one or two tasks, I can handle it. But if you give me the whole shebang, it's like, it's a lot of chaos.
Right. And I was working with you behind the scenes on trying to get all that, but you were kind of wanting to take everything on.
Yeah, and that was where I learned a lot, that, hey, man, you can't handle everything yourself. You definitely tried to help, and you filled in on a lot of things. I mean, you even got the nickname. What was that nickname they gave you? The Man of 1,000 Suplexes?
The Man of 1,000 Suplexes, yeah.
You were really the originator of Suplex City.
Brock Lesnar can sit there and brag about being the mayor of Suplex City, but, bitch, I was the governor before you were the mayor.
I mean, because you were put in a 4-way match.
Yes, I was. So you were attempting to establish who the champions were for. You had the World Heavyweight Champion at the World Heavyweight Championship, the Light Heavyweight Championship, and then the Tag Team Championship. So you were attempting to establish the champion. So you had a fatal 4-way. It was B, Nightwolf, Railroad, and Dexter. Me being the new guy, you sat there and told the four of us how you wanted the finish to be. And like, okay, cool, we can sit there and stick with the finish on that. So it basically explained to everybody I'm the new guy in the ring. Dexter sits there and says, well, we'll just keep it simple. Nobody was talking to nobody in the ring. So me as the new guy, I'm attempting to try to follow instructions, and nobody's giving me anything to go with. So I stuck with what I knew, which were suplexes. I didn't even realize I did as many suplexes that I did in that match until after I watched it. I was like, oh my God, I really did.
Yeah, you couldn't tell your nervousness.
Right.
But go ahead.
It was completely on the fly, and we were attempting to sit there and make up stuff as we were going.
And I remember that in the main event, when you came out with steel chairs and were chasing, I forget who you were chasing. I think it was Rock Dog, maybe, or?
I was chasing Rage.
Oh, yeah, Rage. That's right. It was Rage, yeah. Because we had that whole Battle Royal where we got to meet our friend Captain Obvious.
Oh, Captain Obvious.
I mean, I got to tell you, that was one of the greatest gimmicks that I ever seen. It was a knockoff Hurricane, but it was great.
Right. Yeah, no, so Denton and Tidbit, which were a couple of guys that we knew before they decided to get into the business, he sat there and said that he was going to pull off this Captain Obvious thing, and we were sitting there bouncing around ideas, and we were sitting there like, well, what are you going to do, or what are you going to wear to the thing? He's like, don't worry about it, I got it. And he kept that thing a secret the entire time until he actually came out, and he pulled that off. He knocked it out of the park.
He did. I mean, I thought he had a shining career. I don't know what happened to that guy, but I'm telling you, I was like, the guy's got the size, and then of course, remember when we were doing that drive and he was in the back seat?
Oh,
I think it was through Jamestown, if I'm not mistaken.
The time we almost died.
Yeah, we were going to get the championship belts.
Yeah, we were going to go meet with the guy who created the championship belts. I was driving the Dodge Neon at the time.
Oh yeah, that great Dodge Neon, man.
Right. That thing could tell stories. stories. Oh my God.
I think it's in the scrapyard somewhere. Thank God.
But yeah, it probably putting itself out of its misery.
It needed to.
So we were driving down some back road, and it's like coming down a big giant hill, and there's like turns everywhere, and we were listening to a what was that? A gospel? It was a gospel.
Yeah, it was the only thing that came on the radio. It was some sort of gospel channel.
On the radio was a gospel channel.
It was like Children of the Corn when they're driving down the road.
Right? Yeah, no, it was scary. So we got Den and Tidbit in the back, and they're just basically making fun of this gospel channel. And as we're coming around this corner where it looks like there's a drop off, I go to hit the brakes, and the car's not stopping.
Yeah.
We wind up driving off the road, and I managed to get the car to stop. It hit, I swear to God, this tree branch was like, or this little tree, the diameter had to be like 3 inches, and the car's just resting against that. And everybody's screaming that we're going to die, and managed to finally get the car to stop. And you're sitting there yelling at Denton and Tidbit in the bag, like, don't you ever, I don't want to hear another peep out of you.
I know. I was pissed, man.
It was literally the mom and dad moment where Quack's, I don't want to hear another peep out of the back seat ever again until we're done with this trip. And they stayed quiet the entire time, but it was pretty funny. We were laughing.
It was just so scary. I thought we were dead there, man.
Yeah, because it was like a 20-foot drop.
So, yeah, that was most of my questions. I got some new game here. We're going to play a word association here.
Oh, word association. Okay.
Yeah, we got a little bit there, and then I got a couple questions at the end I'm going to ask you, okay?
Okay.
So here we go. Let's go down the list here. Tom Davison. Let's start with him.
Tom Davison. A good guy. As I was relating earlier, would sit there and do anything to try to help anybody out as much as he could. It was sad with his passing.
Yeah. I mean, dude. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have said he was a great guy, and like I've said before, he's given me the chance to continue on.
He really was.
Yeah, rest in peace, Tom. But
right.
Yeah. All right, Jake Mulligan.
Jake Mulligan, another good guy. He was one of he was a guy that I looked to on advice on how to do stuff. Another great guy.
Yeah. I mean, he was always great during the commentary, you know. That definitely somebody that, you know, if you had an issue, he would be, I had a question of what to do, he would be a good man to ask.
Right, yeah. He was one of those to sit there and be able to help me to mentor, like, I'm having issues trying to get over with the crowd. You know, he would sit there and go out of the way to try to help get you over with the crowd.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here we go. Railroad.
I only worked with him once. He was a pretty good guy. Outside of that fatal four-way, I really didn't work with him all that much.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Nightwolf.
Back in the day, me and him had issues.
What happened?
I don't know if we'll ever actually admit it face to face, but we had problems.
Yeah, what happened back in those days?
So my son's mother at the time decided she was going to flirt with him as an attempt to try to get mad at me, get me mad, the whole 9 yards. And I was pretty pissed off at the time. But you know, looking back on it, being older, you know, it is what it is. And it's the past, and nothing's going to really change.
And that's a lot of things when, you wait about a decade, which has been well over a decade now, covering this.
Right.
And this is probably about almost 14 years, but, eventually you do let go of the grudges,
Right.
And, it's something that you have done, and that's good for you. Some people never do it, unfortunately.
Right.
So there you go. Toby Farley.
Toby Farley. From what I'm hearing, he's doing big things now.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I knew him, he was Kid.
Yeah, good old Kid.
He was another good guy in the locker room. He was one of those, we would. A lot of us in the AWA, IWF would sit there and bounce ideas off each other and things we could do for matches. And he would be the guy to go out and do the crazy stuff, and we're like, I don't think that's a good idea. But he still did it. But, he was a really, really good guy.
Yeah, definitely, he's still on top of his game.
Absolutely.
I'm definitely trying to see if he's going to be available for this. I'd love to have his opinions as well. But, There we go. Let's move down the line here. Southern Chaos.
Southern Chaos. Another good guy in the locker room. He's one of those guys that would sit there and be willing to help and mentor when we were in the AWA, IWF. Funny story was when we were doing the first CCW show. We were in Clarksville, and we were doing it at Austin Peay State University, the gun center.
Oh, yeah.
And you were giving him directions to get up here. And when he arrived, it was in the middle of what we nicknamed the hood.
Yeah.
And he was freaking out big time because he had the whole Southern gimmick and coming out with the Confederate flag. He's like, these people are going to kill me. I'm like, no, brother, you're going to be good. It's going to be okay. I got you.
And me and him were tag partners at that time, and we really got over well with the fans.
Right, absolutely. After the show, I was like, see, I told you you're going to be perfectly fine.
That was the first time also I took the Doomsday device, which was, wow, let me tell you. And when you don't ever take a move, and then all of a sudden you're out of the blue, and they're just like calling in the ring going, hey, we're doing this. You're like, oh no. And then, after taking, I was fine, but it's just that whole in between where you're going, holy cow, I'm worried.
Well, that reminds me back when we did our match together.
Yeah.
My list from not selling from the Mid-South title at the Putnam County Fair show. So I was like, okay, I'm selling everything. I'm going to sell it over. I'm going to oversell it. So when you hit me with the spinal tap in the middle of the ring, I went dead, and I'm just laying there, and the kids are like, oh my God, and the referee's checking. He's like, dude, are you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm just fine.
Yeah.
Everybody thought that you killed me, and I'm just sitting there laying in the ring.
So did you ever win a match?
Do what?
Did you ever win a match?
Not in the AWA, or not in the AWA, not in CCW. I wound up wrestling down in. There was another promotion in Clarksville that I was working with, and then went down to Georgia and actually won.
All right, see, went down there. You've had a few wins.
Yeah, I got a win down there. Yeah, me and Barry Horowitz.
Oh, boy, there you go. Finally got your victory. I'm proud of you.
The one-win club.
The one-win club. Well, that's like Glass Joe there, 1-99.
Yeah, well, now if I were to go back into the business, I'd be coming out to have a Nagila.
Oh, my God. Well, I'm almost glad you're not doing that, but it's okay.
Right.
There you go. I got a couple more names here. Let's go with Mike Promo.
Mike Promo. I've dealt with him a couple of times. I personally never had an issue with him. I was always respectful with him. A guy who really knew the business. There were a lot of people that had complaints with him. The only thing I could sit there and think of was the time we went down with Denton Tidbit to do training. I guess they didn't shake his hand. He turned around and went to the internet and made a big ordeal about it. But
that was back when we had the message board, right?
Yeah, we had the message
board. But
board.
before Facebook and all that, the message board was like king.
Before MySpace, before the whole thing, we had the IWF message board where you could sit there and leave messages. But I remember we came back from training and we were sitting there talking about things, and then somebody went and checked the message board, like, oh, look at what Promo wrote. And like, really?
Yeah, you got to shake people's hands. That's something,
How can you get mad about something that two guys who didn't? It was their first. I think it was their first training session, and he got pissed off about it.
No, people do that, but in all fairness, he was right.
No, I agree that he was right, but instead of that was an opportunity to teach.
Yeah, well, that's one way of teaching. I ain't gonna lie there.
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, he definitely got you on that one there.
Right.
Chris Cash.
That man could sit there and get a crowd to sit there and eat out of his hand like it was nothing. Depending on his role in the night, if he was a good guy manager, he'd sit there and have the crowd loving whoever he was managing. If he was a heel, man, he could sit there and draw a heat like nobody's business. And all the funny stories, like people chasing him around the ring.
Oh yeah, he definitely had some great ones there.
That man knew how to work a crowd.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he was really good at what he did. As far as drawing heat, definitely one of the better ones I've ever seen. Sean Dempsey.
A hell of a teacher. He worked with me on a lot of my chain wrestling. I really don't have anything bad to
That's
say
good.
about
You got
him.
anything good to say about him?
Yeah. Outside of the fact that the Putnam County Fair Show, I made it look like he was hitting me like he was a little girl. Because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, I think he was expecting you to sell. Believe me, Dempsey knew how to throw a shot. I felt it night after night.
I know Dempsey knows how to throw a punch, but I'm saying if you sit there and look at the video, it looked like he looked like a little girl hit me.
Yeah, I think he threw the side forearm at you, and I saw it there from that angle.
Right? No. And after that, I sold.
Yes, he did. So here comes my final three questions. Are you ready?
Alrighty.
Final three questions. What was the one moment in professional wrestling that you hated the most?
The moment that I hated the most in professional wrestling.
Talking not just local, I'm talking, all over, big leagues, little leagues.
Anything in professional wrestling. One of the biggest moments that I hated. I would have to sit there and say when Brock Lesnar ended the streak.
Why did that make you mad?
Why did that make me mad? It really turned me off on watching the E after that point because why Brock Lesnar? I mean, obviously the streak had to end at some point, but why they chose to end it on Brock Lesnar is beyond me because at the time he wrestled for a year, or in a year he'd wrestle 3 or 4 shows. And to me, I think it should have been a bigger honor to turn it over to somebody who came in and busted his ass in the ring, and it meant nothing. And that's just my impression off of it.
So after that happened, did you end up watching wrestling ever since then?
I watch it.
I know you took a break from it. You were like, I'm not watching this anymore. You were mad, actually, that mad.
Right. Well, I was mad about it because I was like, well, obviously they don't sit there and care about the streak. They don't care about the impression I got was they didn't care about the product that they were putting out. So me as somebody watching the product, why should I care? That's just the way that I saw it. And I follow it very, very loosely now. I'm more into the indie circuit and see what's going on the indie circuit.
Definitely.
Rather than the big stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a lot of helping hand there, especially with myself and Eric Nelson and others, as far as the backstage work.
Right, yeah.
But I'm going to go a little off topic here, of professional wrestling.
Okay.
So I'm a diehard Patriots fan, right?
Right.
So I remember you were telling me, I wanted to tell the viewers, why do you hate Tom Brady?
Okay. How many times do I got to tell this story?
It's one of the best ones I've ever heard from you. I will tell you that.
Right. I am a diehard Tom Brady. It's not that I hate the Patriots. I just hate Tom Brady. And here's the reason why. So back in 2001, when Tom Brady was a nobody, it was Super Bowl number 1. I was in the Air Force at the time, and we were doing they were doing a USO tour or a USO show, and they were in Germany, and I was a military police officer at the time, and I got assigned to the guard detail during the USO show, and I got to guard like Clint Black. But they had the New England Patriots cheerleaders there, and I wound up meeting a redhead, and we're like talking, hitting it off, the whole thing, and of course I'm like 19 at the time. Mm-hmm. So, like, she's like, well, you want to go to dinner? I was like, hell yeah, who wouldn't? So, we're sitting there talking, the whole 9 yards, and she asked me, am I a Patriots fan? I'm like, not really, I follow the team, but very, very loosely. She's like, well, who do you think's a better quarterback? And Bledsoe had history with the team compared to Tom Brady, just out of the middle of nowhere, just started showing up and just happened to win the Super Bowl. So I sat there and said, Bledsoe, she said, well, never mind on the whole dinner thing. And ever since then, I hope Tom Brady dies of gonorrhea and rots in hell.
Well, I mean, and I get to say this, most people, they hate Tom Brady for his success, which I get, or his hot wife or whatever. You at least have a legitimate reason to hate Tom Brady.
Tom Brady's a cock blocker. That's the reason why I hate him.
I mean,
I got cock blocked by Tom Brady from an ocean.
Yeah, pretty much from an ocean. And you only hear it here on the Dr. Quack podcast, these kind of stories. Make sure you keep tuning in. I have one more question here for you. If you had any advice to give somebody brand new going into the business, what would you ask them? What would you say to them?
What would I say to somebody brand new into the business? I would sit there and say, listen, take your training seriously. Don't be afraid to try to do things. Like I said, I did the whole special ed thing, and it blew up in my face. But I think that by that failure, it allowed me to sit there and get into something bigger with the Karaokee Kid gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, definitely great advice. I'd like to thank. Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, I'm an avid fan of the show. Sit there and listen. Anytime you want me back on,
I definitely do. Yeah, we're gonna have you on here. I've got things planned here in a month. I'll talk to you later about. But thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you to the Karaoke Kid, for sharing your stories. I'm glad they got to, hear these, and hopefully it helps some people and learn from them, and hopefully it's great entertainment for the ones that are always going to listen to this. But thank you once again. I will see you all later this week with another shoot interview. Stay tuned.